Second chances.
Chapter 6. Pride before the fall. Notes. The punishment is enacted. Slight torture in this part, so if you don't like it, please skip.
Having been taken to the lower realms of the kingdom, Becker stood on the outskirts of the shrouded blade, awaiting her fate. This place was reserved for only the most sacred of rituals, and only those in the deepest of trouble, or admitted to the orders, ever got to set foot here. It was, in a sense, sacred ground. It had been a meeting place at one point, open to sky and sun. But over time, the earth swallowed it back under the ground and formed a protective dome-like cavern over it, concealing it from all until it was found again. Broken pillars dotted the glade in a circular fashion. A small dais having been made from the rocks that had been left behind formed a large circle upon the grass that somehow still flourished in this underground cavern. The only source of light was the magic cast from those gathered, hanging above the pinnacle of the dome-like structure, and tiny glowing bugs that called this place home. It gave an eerie but ethereal sort of cast to the entire place. The Lord High Priest, her father, and the rest of the lords chosen for this momentous task all took their places in the circle, and it was the Lord High Priest that motioned for her to come forward. Head high, she walked towards the center of the circle and stood before them all, unmoving and unspeaking. All was silence for a few moments, before the Lord High Priest spoke.
Daughter of the Lord, you are here today to answer for the crime of theft. Theft of time, theft of life, and for attempting to break the very fabric that our world is based off of, solely to save the life of a human. A human, who it is in our nature to guard and help on their way. Unseen, unheard, and yet you have broken both convents. As well as using the deep magic to heal said human. A crime, punishable by death.
Here he paused and glared down at her, but Becker would not be cowed. She stood fast in her beliefs, having chosen her path.
However, since you are the only child of the Lord of the Realm, it would be unwise to spill such regal, noble blood in such a way. And since it was your Lord Father who healed the human, you cannot be punished for that. But you must attain for what you have stolen. After much consideration, it is decreed that since you have stolen from time himself, it is time we shall take from you.
She shivered slightly at those words. Time was not a gracious being, and had a habit of being rather heavy-handed when dealing out punishments. However, she did not see him there amidst the circle of members of the order. Perhaps there would be another. Perhaps her punishment would not be too badly scarring or overly painful. All hope died the moment the Lord High Priest opened his mouth next.
In light of time not being able to be here to met out this agreement, not only will you suffer, but the one you saved will also.
Becker stiffened as his eyes shot up to meet with the Lord High Priest. Almost defiantly. Which made him smile. He was so evil-looking when he smiled like that, it made her tremble in place.
No harm will come your human, but having learned of the tie between the two of you, you will keep said tie open at all times during this meter, or else greater punishments await you.
So saying, he swooped down from the dais and pointed to the ground before him.
Kneel.
Becker swallowed once, and came to stand before the Lord High Priest, falling to her knees before him, but raising her eyes to meet his. Opening her mind, as bid, to William once again. No fear. She would show no fear. Xoxix. William's eyes snapped open the moment he felt Rebecca back in his mind. Something was wrong. Hell, everything about all of this was wrong. But things were different this time around, for instead of just feeling her in his mind, he could see her. It was like watching things from a distance, as they unfolded, but her could see her and what was happening. She was on her knees before a man who was dressed formally, and feeling, well, he couldn't lock onto her feelings because she had shut down in a sense. There were no feelings to be felt. Not yet. His eyes widened as he saw the whip suddenly appear in the man's hand, heard his voice, muffled but precise.
For the crime of stealing time and for using the deeper magic to heal the human of his lesser wounds, 100 lashes are ordered for the great wolf, protector of the realm.
The man looked down at his angel with such a look of contempt it made William want to throttle him.
You will count them out. each and every one. Or I begin again, understood?
Seeing his angel look up at the man before her and nod, William felt sick.
Oh, and one more thing. This is no ordinary whip. Since you have stolen from time, it that I will steal back from you. For every lash, you lose 5 years of your life. Be thankful it isn't more.
Seeing the hand raise and feeling Becker's emotions come to a shuddering stop, William leapt to his feet, beyond enraged that he could do nothing to help her.
No! Rebecca!
He screamed as he watched in horror as the whip came down upon her back. Hard? Sora stutter, bent a little under its onslaught, and heard her defiant but steady whispered, "One. Xoxix." The pain was intense as this was no ordinary whip, it was designed to steal magic and life force with each and every hit. How was she to stand 100 lashes? She bucked at the first few, knowing the Lord High Priest was attempting to break her, make her fail. She managed to hold in her screams of agony for the first 10 lashes, but after that, they fell from her lips like rain. Her back tore with each lash, and it was agonizing. But the pain upon her body was nothing compared to the pain within her, and her heart, for she had heard William's shout of agony and defiance, and had to resist the urge to block him out. She had to keep the line open, and she hated it. Hated that he had to see, for surely he would blame himself for her pain.
William, hear me.
She ventured in the deeper recesses of her mind. A place where only she and he could talk unheard.
It's all right. Not your fault.
She knew when he heard her, for she could see him just as much as he could see her. She shuddered each time the whip fell and felt just another tiny piece of her die, but she remembered to count out each lash. By the time she was up to 45, she was prone, her back a mess of scars. Blood pooled around her, but she felt nothing now. Having closed off that part of herself before they had even begun. She felt as well as saw William's despair and wanted so badly to soothe him of it. This was not his fault, but he seemed hell-bent on not believing her.
Not your fault.
She tried again to reassure him.
I'd take 100 more, do it all over again, to save you. William, you worth it to me.
She was growing faint as she gasped out the number 99, and then all things went black, and even the pain disappeared. Hers as well as William's. When next she woke, she was flat on her stomach, in a bed of soft down, with covers up to her waist. Elas moved about the room, and the smells of the medicines almost made her gag, as well as the blood. Everything hurt. Even breathing was agony, and she gave out a soft murmur of distress when she tried to find a more comfortable position. She very nearly yelped when someone placed a gentle hand upon her, urging her to be still. All thoughts stopped as she reached out for William in her mind and couldn't feel his presence. That made her panic, and even before she could form a coherent thought to move from where she lay, all things went instantly black again as she went under once more. It was soft whisperings that drew her back to the light this time. Soft, gentle words that she couldn't understand at first called to her. A soft caress to her hair made her tingle, and then wince slightly as the sensation triggered her injuries. Upon opening her eyes, the first thing she saw was William. Xoxoxo. He had raged as he watched her punishment. Hate filled him in every core at each strike. He wanted to murder them all. Torture them as they tortured his angel. Rebecca was his. How dare they touch her? He felt so very helpless as she tried to reassure him. Even through her pain, she tried to help him through his. She really was an angel. He nearly lost his mind, however, when everything faded to black as she passed out. Unaware that her Lord Father had stepped in to stop the Lord High Priest from starting over again because she had missed the last number. Saying his daughter had suffered enough and was braver than most who had to undergo such a feat. William hadn't waited then, when all went black, and he could no longer feel her within his mind. Storming out of his room, he was every bit the rage-filled, cruel, cold and calculating colonel he had been in life. He made his way towards where he had last felt her presence and demanded to know what was going on.
Where is she?
William's voice was cold, hard as he stared at the guards. one of which gulped at his anger.
I will not ask again.
He said as he moved to stand literally toe to toe with them.
You tell me where she is, or I will tear this place apart, one piece at a time, till I find her.
We have sent word. The Lord requests you wait for her. She will be brought up soon. Even we are not allowed into the depths, human. You know as much as we do.
When word came, the Lord of the Realm allowed William to join his daughter when she returned. Though when he joined her in the healer's den, one look at her and he felt sick. They had overdone it, and that was saying a lot, considering what he, himself, had been known for. Her back looked like torn strips of flesh, blood was everywhere, and she was so pale. It made his heart stutter to see her this way. Which, in turn, made him even more angrier than he already was, as he still wasn't sure exactly how he felt about her. Oh, he knew he loved her, but he wasn't sure how, and such confusion only angered him more.
What has happened?
His words cut like a knife as the healers tried to save her. But with William hovering, it made their job that much harder.
Sit down, or get out.
The lead healer finally yelled at him as she shoved William out of the way. Turning her attention back to Becker, who seemed to coming around.
I need more help here, please. She's coming too, and it's too soon.
What? What do you mean? Why?
William asked, feeling his anger take hold as he watched the healers crowd around his angel. All of his senses seemed to come to a stop when he heard Becker's soft cry of his name. Confused, in agony, she called for him as the healers struggled to keep her in place.
Rebecca! I am here.
He called out to her only to the annoyance of the main healer.
Gustav. Get him out of here. Now.
She called and pointed to the door.
He isn't helping. Out.
You have no authority to do so.
William shouted back.
I am not leaving her.
You will, or I will have you beaten from this room. Out.
The lead healer turned and saw Becker was more awake than needed and growled.
Someone put her back under. Now.
It was hours after they had put her back under that they allowed him in, and he made it clear that nothing and no one could chase him out. Taking up a seat near her bed, he bit his lip as he watched her breathing so slowly where she lay. Her back a mess of bandages and blood. His angel, reduced to this, for saving him. How could he not feel guilty? This was the fate she had tried to spare him from. But since the usual taskmaster had not been there, those in charge saw fit to make her suffer a different way. He hated them for it. Hated them. He started talking then about anything and everything he could think of. Keeping his voice and tone soft, watching her for any signs of stirring. He wanted to touch her, but was terrified that he would hurt her, so he reached out and gently caressed her hair. Asking, no, begging for her to return to him. The moment her eyes fluttered, he swore his heart stopped. His breath held until she gasped softly and turned those beautiful eyes toward him. That smile she gifted him with, so warm even among the pain, brought tears to his eyes, and for once, he let them fall. Not since he was 13 had he ever cried, but now, he didn't care.
Rebecca? I'm here.
His words soft as he leaned down and placed a gentle kiss to the top of her head. His heart hammering like a sledgehammer in his chest. So hard and so fast, it hurt.
William.
Her own voice so tired sounding as she tilted her head to the side enough to look at him.
You're crying.
Her voice trembled softly, startled by his tears.
I am sorry. I didn't.
Don't, Rebecca. It's all right. You are all right. That is all that matters.
He cut her off with a shake of his head, letting her know that he would take no refusal. His hands sought hers and tenderly entwined their fingers together.
Now it is my turn to take care of you.
He managed a small hint of a smile at his words and noticed how she tried to chuckle, only to feel his heart break at her wince of pain.
Stay with me.
She asked, softly. Bold in her actions once more. Though she didn't yet understand her feelings for him, having him nearby made her feel safe, strong in a way.
I am not leaving, Rebecca. Not for one moment.
He assured her.
You are mine, little wolf. Now it is my turn to protect you. I will not fail again.
He leaned down so close that she could feel the warmth of his breath tickle her neck.
No one will ever hurt you again, I swear.
He angled himself and pressed a light kiss to her forehead, which made every fiber in her body tingle and burn in a way she had never felt before.
Rest, my angel. I won't leave you.
Safe in that knowledge, Becker gave William's hand a light squeeze and allowed the darkness once more to take her. Now the roles were reversed, it seemed, and it was only as she was fading did his words make sense. She was his little wolf. Seemed they would have much to talk about once she was feeling better, and that feeling alone made her sleep all that more deeper, safe knowing he was near.